we need to collect the data and collect the data from all these on submit. And we need to collect here in the API. We need to post to API. Then it will insert that record, insert the record. Then what we have to do here, we need to write a connection here. So Mongo client. So dot connect with whom URL. Okay. After connecting with URL, so a callback function. So we have error and we have a client object, client obj. Okay. So here, if not error, then here we need to define. So where database is equal to client object dot db, and which database name? Database name is shopping db. Okay, on that, into this database, we need to add the data. How we collect the data? What we will do is, so first we will collect the data. How to collect the data? We will collect the data by using request object. So that means where we have data, this data is an object which contains user ID. User ID is coming from the body. How to collect the data coming from body? For body means form body. We have to use request.body. Request.body and the field name. Field name is user ID. That's how we collect the data. Second, username. Request.body.username. We have to collect username. That next, we have to collect password. So request.body.password. We have to collect the password. And email. So we have request.body.email. Email. And mobile. So we have request.body.mobile. And we have address. So that is request.body.address. We have to get it from that address. So data is ready. This data we have to insert into table. That means what we have to do, database dot collection. Collection name is TBL users. What is the collection name? Table name. So table name, so above we are collecting that. Table name is TBL register. So TBL register. Into this table, we have to insert the record. That means we have to use insert. We have to use insert. So what data to be inserted? We have to send the data. Data is present in a data object. So that is data. And we will use a callback function. Callback function. That means this data will be inserted and we will use a callback function. Data is coming from form. We collected the data. We collected the data here, right? And all the data collected from form body is now sent into the table. And if error and a result. And here the point is if not error, then it should display message console.log saying that record inserted. This message should come. This is how we write the logic for post method. Write the logic for the post method. Generally, if it is SQL based database, then you know that insert into table like commands we have to write. MongoDB, how to insert a record, we have to just use the function insert. Now our database business layer is ready. Open terminal. Once you make the changes in business layer, again compile and run it. Okay, I compiled and run that. Okay, now let's go to index page. In index page, now what we have to do is, we have to collect all the data and send to that API. What is the API name? API name is this. API name is register users. Into that we need to send all this data. User ID, username, password, email, mobile, all these details we need to send. Then what we will do is here. So index, on index, how to collect the data from this text box. You know that we have to use ng model. Ng model, here I will say user ID. Okay. So that means user ID is stored is in this user. Okay. Second one. So ng model user dot username. Okay. And password ng model user dot password. Okay. And email user ng model. So user dot email. Okay. And mobile. So ng model. So user dot mobile. And address. So ng model. So user dot address. These all details are collected. Now what should happen on this button click? Actually, this is a submit button. On submit button, by default button type is submit button. Submit button can submit this user information. That means we have to write a event for this form. Form has a submit event. So ng submit is equal to register user is a method. Into that register user method, we are passing the data. Data is in user. That means this user contains user ID coming from text box, another user ID coming from password, another user ID coming from another one coming from password, user email. All these details we are collecting. All these details we are collecting from the form. And on submit, we are passing into this method. We have to write a method. So how to write the method? Into the method, we are passing the user details. How to write a method? Go to the logic. In the logic, we have to write a method. So what is the method? So dollar, so register user, dollar scope dot register user. Register user is a function. What this function has to do? Register user is a function which will execute when user clicks this button. When user clicks this button, that register user function will be called. It will pass the data. We will collect the data here. We will collect that user data here. And we need to send that user data into our API. How do we send into our API? We have to use $http dot post. And what data to be posted? Into which URL you need to post the data? URL you have to define. URL is what? So URL is http://127.0.0.1 and :8080 and slash, what is the name? Register users. So we have to give that register users. This is expecting data, comma, data is user. Whatever user data is present, we are sending that data into it. Now it is ready. So it is working fine. So we are sending the data and it is fine. So that means whatever data is collected from the form, it is sent into this register users. And on post, it is sending it. On get, we are collecting it. On post, we are sending into it. Then immediately after that, I can simply put here an option like, so alert, I can put here as registered successfully. This message I can give here, registered successfully. Now this is how we need to write the logic for sending the data. For collecting the data, we have get. Sending the data, we have post. And remember, we have to collect from a form. Now user, what happens here?